Hello, my name is Steve. Welcome back for another episode of GI Joburg. Today, we got a skeleton crew. It's just me and my old pal Rob. Hello, Rob.
Hey, how's it going?
And a hearty yo Joburg to the folks in the live chat, the Berg Force members. We got Matt, we got Darren, we got Gaz, and Gary. Thanks for joining us, gents. It seems like no one else did. Paul's got another engagement and he might be along shortly. And we had a mystery fourth guest, a blast from the past, but I fear the mind-warping minefield of time zones have meant that he's missed the schedule. So we might have to have him in another week. I don't know. We need to get our minds right. When someone messages you at 4 a.m. asking, is the podcast tonight or tomorrow night? And it would be at 10 p.m. your time, the same day, but not the same day for them. What do you say? It's pretty ambiguous. Do you say, no, it's Sunday for you. It might be Saturday now, but it's not going to be on Saturday, it's going to be on Sunday. Or do you say the actual date? Anyway, my sleep-addled or sleep-deprived, baby-addled brain couldn't quite work this out, so I must have miscommunicated. Anyways, Rob, it's you and me, baby. How the hell are you?
I'm doing quite good. It's been a fairly nice week. Weather's been pretty good in Cape Town. I'm lost for words. Time zones got confused me too. Like it's just difficult, you know.
Well, red wine and a meat coma have confused me. Let me tell you, man, I've just come back from a Venezuelan barbecue from our neighbors, and man, those guys know how to party. I ate a lot of meat. I don't know what's got me in more of a spin, the meat or the fruit grapes. But it's going to be interesting. Look, we do have some legitimate Joe stuff to talk about, and let's dive right into that, shall we? This week past, we had an announcement from Hiya Toys that they are going to be delivering official GI Joe product. So they grabbed what looks like the early 2000s GI Joe logo and put a little X. You know how those, it's like if you're featuring someone on your track, it's like Drake X Coldplay or whatever. So it's GI Joe X Hiya. And they gave us a little press release announcement in delightfully broken English, which I love so much. GI Joe action figure of this exquisite mini-series focusing on create high-performance 1/18 scale action figure will be released in 2022. Is that a smizing emoticon?
I think this is like smirking. It's like
smirky. Yeah.
Very cool.
Suck on that, Hasbro. With GI Joe, a real American hero, turning 40 this year, full stop, we are set to release a brand new line of action figures. This new and exciting line will give fans and action figure collectors something have not had since the mid-1980s. Nerdy, toothy, smiley emoticon. Hashtag action figure. Hey, what? Are you familiar with Hiya Toys, Rob?
I am actually. We've at our shop we've actually stopped several of they do a line of 1/18 scale alien as well as predator figures, and they have previously done at least Robocop. I know that much too. And they're actually pretty good quality. I mean, I think they're more in line, the aesthetics and the look of them more in line with modern GI Joes than they are with O-ring GI Joes. So I'd expect
quote
something
higher.
exquisite. They're exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd actually be more in. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be toys that we haven't seen since the mid 1980s. It's more like toys we haven't seen since like the early 2000s, or whenever 20 years ago, or whenever 20th anniversary of GI Joe was.
Well, I get nervous because they have the look of NECA toys, and I can only imagine NECA toys shrunk down to 1/18 scale. Those things must be like glass, articulated glass.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I haven't ever taken one out of the packaging to kind of see, but I mean the detailing is pretty good. They come with nice accessories, but yeah, I'm not sure how well they'll hold up to play. but they will look, I think, more like modern Joes than they will like classic O-rings. I'm curious to see what they're going to do.
Which does prompt me to ask, like, is this the kind of plan that they had in mind, that when Hasbro had started shelling the license out to Super 7 and now to Hiya Toys, like, is this why they pulled the plug on the modern construction retro collection stuff? Because this is what Hiya Toys is going to be delivering to us. A modern style action figure with GI Joe characters. And what's more exciting is the potential for vehicles. I mean, it hit people's wallets pretty hard, but the APC from their Aliens line is an incredible piece of toy.
Ooh, that's lovely.
The detail, the interior spaces, the accuracy of it, the scaling of it. I mean, this could be our next big hope for the Cobra transport helicopter. It's a giant race. Who's going to do it first? Is it going to be Super 7 or is it going to be Hiya Toys? This is insane, man.
Well, I'm pretty excited. I'm hoping they're going to do good stuff, and the fact, yes, that maybe we'll get new vehicles. I think vehicles is definitely something that we haven't been getting enough of the last
It's
couple of
true.
years.
It's true. People have started getting their Razor Crests. Oh. Have you caught
Those,
any
oh,
reviews?
it's sexy. It's such a beautiful vehicle, and it's so big.
Mm,
It's
stunning.
fantastic.
And they really did it all, hey? The detailing on the silver to make it so lived in. Like, it is not a flat silver at all. Like, the panels, the paint ops, you can see why it had to be a HasLab to bring it to fans at this size and with this level of intricacy. I think people who got in on it aren't really regretting that 350 US now. Like, it's
I think it's definitely
worth
worth
that
it for
price
sure.
point. So all I can say is I'm very happy and excited for you guys. I hope that there are no hidden bumps or QC issues along the way. But by all accounts, and I'm going off mainly Shotimus Prime's review on YouTube, but the Razor Crest looks and feels and presents like a very, very premium, cool toy. Though
A
Shotimus did have
great toy
one
from a great,
issue.
yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, Shotimus did have one caveat. Like, his landing gear didn't insert all the way. Like, he's got some plastic flash on the inside, which prevents the rear two landing struts from like inserting fully. But it doesn't look
Hmm.
like anyone else has had that issue. Might be a once-off. Maybe Hasbro can correct that. I mean, Shotimus is, I think, in New York, so it's not too far to Rhode Island. If Hasbro
Yeah,
wanna, and the
just
guy's
go
got a big
over,
following, so Hasbro, butter him up, please, please.
give him something nice. Come on,
Well, let's sort
fix
him
it,
out.
fix it. Well, it's crazy to think. I mean, like they make that, and then they go ahead and try and make a bloody Rancor. It's like you can kind of see also where Star Wars fans were at. It's like you gave us this incredible one of a kind vehicle, and then you try and give us a Rancor. I don't know.
The Rancor was designed for the 6-inch scale, so it would be something new. But I don't know, man. I've never been huge on creatures, but like, I don't know. I'm also not a Star Wars guy, so, and certainly now the Rancor is having a bit of a renaissance thanks to certain live action shows. So the timing is unfortunate, but Disney do as they please. They can't. They're a law unto themselves, and it's not like they were gonna change their release date for Book of Boba Fett to structure it
Yeah,
around a silly toy. Please,
to
toys
make more
follow a
money. Come
film.
on.
Yeah, well,
No, you have to make more money. Toys do follow film, but the thing is, like,
the toys make more
uh,
money.
exactly,
Merchandising makes more money. Yeah.
merchandising is where the real money is. People can only watch something enough, a couple of times, but merchandise they can keep buying forever. I mean, we're buying stuff based off a comic book line in the 80s, a cartoon in the
Ooh,
80s. I mean,
we've got a comment from Swordsman from Bergforce. Someone here turned his Razor Crest into the Bebop. All I can say is pix or it didn't happen. That sounds like an incredible custom. My goodness.
that
So
sounds insane.
The Cowboy Bebop ship. I imagine that means it's scaled to like much smaller figures.
It
Because
would
the
have to be,
Bebop,
yeah.
yeah, it can fit a what's Spike's ship called? Swordfish?
I think
I
so,
don't know.
yeah. It
It
fits
can
his
fit a
ship.
bunch of.
Yeah, it fits at least 3 ships because I mean, 3 of
Mm,
them do travel together.
yeah.
And there's lots of
Wow.
space on that ship. Damn.
And GI Gary came with 3 knobs for Grogu to play with. Well, you're gonna have to have 3 knobs because those things are gonna get lost very quickly. It's a removable silver plastic ball that you basically fit onto a control stick in the cockpit,
Yeah.
and that is to simulate that little plaything that Mandalorian grudgingly gives to Grogu, which has now become a plot point. It's like you know, it's like one of those cute little, oh, he remembers the thing. He gave him his present. I mean, that's going to be a recurring theme on, what's it called?
It's significant now. It's like the dice from the Millennium Falcon.
Well, at least this was significant from the off. It wasn't kind of built in after the fact. Hello, Paul. It would
Hey guys,
appear
is this
we
the
Man.
GI Joburg podcast? Just want to make sure I'm in the right place. How's it, everybody?
allegedly. Hello, Paul. We've talked Hiya Toys. We've talked the Razor Crest. Anything you're bringing to our initial agenda? I had to ask.
Heberg.
Oh
Heberg.
yeah, he's back, ladies
Guys,
and gentlemen. It's Heberg Paul, the master
uh,
of my irritation.
master of the audioverse. I don't know, whatever. I finally picked up one of these He-Man a Revelation box, Masters of the Universe. You know which ones I'm talking about, the realistic looking He-Mans, the new ones.
Yes.
It was quite cheap. It was 260
As it should be.
rands, as it should be. It's for that price. I cannot believe the quality of this figure. I got to say, it's a really, really great figure. I can confirm that in hand, the head does still look a little bit too small for my taste. I'm not going to buy more than just He-Man. But yeah, very glad that I managed to pick one up in the store. I didn't have many options. I had either He-Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 to choose from. So I just chose one of those. The cool thing, and this is worth noting, it's awesome when you open up the box and you can just take the figure out. There's none of those annoying little cable ties or wires or clips or stupid shit. You can just take the figure out and play with it. And when you're done, you can put the figure back in. And it's happy days every day. But yeah, that's about the most exciting thing happening in my world, toy-wise. And there was something cool that was announced. Yeah, everybody's got their Razor Crests. Congratulations. It looks like a damn cool toy.
Oof, so nice.
Yeah. Very, very nice. And yeah.
Well, my new shit section is going to be a cap on a story that I started last week when I said that I'm an old time eBay buyer. Nowadays, I put in a starting bid and forget about it for a couple of days and check in the closing minutes, and I don't snipe anymore. But I won my auction uncontested. Maybe it's because it was located in France. Maybe it's because it's slightly obscure. But for the price, a vintage
Transformers.
Skyquake is
Very
incredible.
Ooh,
25 euros, guys. And
Dude.
that's crazy.
if you do know Transformers, you know that this guy has an enormous hunk of gold plastic right on the back, which is frequently cracked.
And you stick the
Sometimes
thing on it.
clear off. Yeah, well, you don't stick no things on it anymore for fear
Yeah.
of breaking it. But this one is unbroken. And I just said to the seller, like, please take pictures of it before you package it up because I fully anticipated shattering in the mail and needing to make an insurance claim, which he complied with, fortunately. So we shall
Yay.
see. But like, I won it, guys. And the significance of this might be lost on a lot of people, but like, this was the era of Transformers, the sort of early 90s, end of the G1 and segue into the G2 that I was acquainted to Transformers on. Like
Yeah,
nothing
that's what we
else.
grew up with here. Yeah.
I didn't ever see classic G1 Transformers in South Africa. This was where Transformers started for me. But it wasn't in South Africa where I first encountered the Predators and the Turbo Masters. I was extremely fortunate in 1993 to have gone with my family on a road trip through Europe. And I had a couple of these Transformers in my lap on that car ride. Like, for hours and hours and hours, I was transforming my Turbo Masters and Predators. So this is a piece that eluded me back then and has eluded me to this day. And so a lot of nostalgia wrapped up in it. But wow, I'm thrilled, man. I'm really excited to get it. And for such a sweet deal too. I'm still a happy man.
Hey, something I want to find out from you guys. Just remarking on the elephant that is in the room or is not in the room. It wasn't Cujo meant to join us for this one?
It was a surprise guest up until Paul opened his mouth. Yes, Cujo.
Sorry.
Well, at the top of the pod, I must confess that in the wee hours of this morning, for me, okay, so I haven't slept since he messaged me, so I count that as one day. He asked me if we're recording tonight or tomorrow night, and the recording time would be 5 a.m. for him, so it's not nighttime in my books. Like 5 a.m. is morning. So I said, no, Cujo, tomorrow. But he must think tomorrow as in Monday, 5 a.m. Oh, man. So you can look forward to whatever Cujo is bringing to the table next week.
Okay,
We'll just have to be absolutely certain that we get our time zones completely correct. Don't say days,
Oh,
say
man.
times. Say this specific
Dates.
time on this date.
Exactly
Remember to
right.
swap,
Like the
swap the
spoiler.
month and the day around, because that's how Americans do it.
Oh, I can always
Month and day.
cut that bit, Paul, as I do to so much of your rants and raves. You know, just snip, snip, snip. Why is Paul hardly on this episode?
You know, and I suppose you're doing God's work, because sometimes when I listen back, I don't even remember that I ranted about something. I've just listened to the episode, I'm just like, cool. I
made
don't
some
feel like
good
anything's
points there.
missing. Yeah. Wow, I'm so concise.
Well,
Great to
let's
say.
let's tuck into our reading, watching, playing section, boys. Let me tell you, when you do a review and upload it to YouTube on anything relating to Star Wars, the algorithm grabs you by the balls and does not let you go. Like,
Star
my
balls.
YouTube feed is entirely Star Wars now, and I have dipped my toes. Lord have mercy. I watched a channel that I hadn't watched before. They're quite big, so just shuffled into the sort of the myriad of huge Star Wars channels. But they're called So Uncivilized, and they put out a video. It seems like they like to champion unpopular opinions, and this video dealt with like why George Lucas writes such wooden dialogue. Like there's apparently a secret reason and justification for it, that it's all part of the way he uses words and language as part of the rhythmic, I don't know, almost like the speech among characters is part of the music of a scene. So they went into an elaborate
Like a speech,
argument.
like a canto, if I'm not
Well,
mistaken.
yeah, like George
Like a
thinks
poem,
of
sorry.
words as beats and rhythms, and I guess he's thinking like an editor, which is his technical discipline. And I thought it was a great argument, but I thought they're absolutely wrong. I mean, George Lucas writes wooden dialogue because he is a technically minded filmmaker. I
Also
don't
not
think
Hemingway.
Yeah, look, I mean, the guy is incredible. Okay, Star Wars was the perfect storm of like the greatest people in their respective positions all being employed in one production at one time. The Dennis Murans of the world, the Phil Tippett's, the John Williamses, the Ben Burts, the cast. I mean, Alec Guinness worked on a lot of the script himself, if you believe what has been written. He workshopped scenes, he worked with actors, and the actors themselves sublimely cast. Hollywood royalty playing a princess, a naive hopeful playing a farm boy, a Hollywood heartthrob cool guy playing a cool guy. Everyone is exactly who they're meant to be when you look at Star Wars 77. But without George Lucas, none of this would have existed. So I'm not trying to snub his genius and him being absolutely the right filmmaker at the right time and bring his vision to life. But his shortcoming is the fact that some directors come from the performance world, some directors come from the technical world. George Lucas comes from the latter. And
Yeah.
to expect him to write,
THX.
Swarken level dialogue is perhaps a bridge too far. He's absolutely expository. Characters speak their minds. They don't really speak like human beings, and it's very evident in the prequels where no one challenged him. Everything he wrote was absolutely sacred, and everyone delivered the words as written. And that's why we have Anakin Skywalker saying that he doesn't like sand. Anyway, that's what I watched.
So that's what you've been watching.
yeah, a little bit of Star Wars. Yeah, so take that, so uncivilized. I disagree with you strongly.
That's the nice thing about an opinion, right? You can disagree,
Mm-hmm.
We all
and
have
we
them.
we can still be friends. Dude, I want to jump in with what have I been playing, because so here's the thing. Most of our listeners don't know this, but my PlayStation was the victim of Thor. It wasn't lightning that struck it directly, but let's just say that lightning struck my house, and somehow some kind of errant surge that sat in my router or something fried my PlayStation because it wasn't plugged in. It was only plugged into the router. I don't want to get into the technical side of it. The result is the same. Paul had a PlayStation 5 before the storm started, and I didn't have one after the storm ended. So I was very fortunate. My console was still under warranty, and I got it replaced. The problem is the PS5s have a worldwide shortage, so it took a while for them to get my replacement console, which is okay. I suppose I've just been too busy to play anything anyway. But that said, I got my console back the other day, and it just happens that it coincided with the updated patch for Cyberpunk. That's the 1.5 patch, which actually makes Cyberpunk 2077 a current gen or next gen console release, depending on how you guys want to see it. So it's got all the bells and whistles that a next gen console game should have. So it finally feels like it should, and it's got all these fixed bugs and whatever. It's great because that's what I've been playing. I've been playing Cyberpunk to death. I've been really enjoying it. And I mean, I say I've been playing it to death, but I've only really got my console back on Thursday, and I could only really start playing on Friday. So yeah, I've been enjoying a little bit of Cyberpunk and really, really, really loving it. And then I also got my hands on the re-release of of Quake. They did a Quake re-release. It's really, really good. It's like, it's got all there's nothing changed. It's just the original game, but they've just given it some fancy lighting or whatever. Anyway, if anybody out there is nostalgic for Quake, this will scratch that itch. I know it took me back to my first computer, so I felt that was really cool. And what am I watching? I finished Seinfeld. There's no more Seinfeld to watch.
Oh wow!
And yeah, Celia and I finished Seinfeld the other day, and it was really great. Like, I'm glad he ended it where he ended it. And I've been watching.
Oh, no.
Anyway, I've also been watching Better Call Saul, which has been awesome. And then Larry Hama was talking about something. Sorry, I've been working a lot, so I've had lots of TV series going on while I've been working. Larry Hama mentioned Reacher was very much like the book, and so I was like, cool, well, right on. I didn't realize it was a Reacher TV series, and then we sort of mentioned a little bit last weekend, I believe. Anyway, it was in my head, and I was like, let me check this thing out. It's cool. Like, I enjoy it. I like the dude that they got for Jack Reacher. I think he's great. He's much better utilized in this series than he was in Titans. And that's all I'll say. That's what I've been doing. So, yeah.
Well, I caught bits and pieces of it because Kim had it on. And then we decided to go back to the Tom Cruise film and give that a watch. And I have to say, I enjoyed it far more than I expected I would. I saw it in cinemas back in 2012, and I thought, another Tom Cruise vehicle. But now that I know that this comes from a book series, and this is just one of the books that was adapted into a film, like, it's good. And it's a testimony to how bloody good Tom Cruise actually is, that I, now knowing that Jack Reacher is supposed to be this absolute man mountain.
Massive. Yeah.
And you know, a lot of the scenes work better if you can imagine Jack Reacher being as imposing as the dude that they got for the TV show. And instead you've got Tom Cruise, who's actually probably closer to my height. Just like Tom is good. He's a bloody good actor. He conveys that level of threat in spite of the fact that, like, Tom Cruise is probably one of the most recognizable faces in the world, you know, central tooth and all. But yeah, that was my takeaway. I enjoyed this film in spite of it being a Tom Cruise film. I'm like, yeah, fucking A, man.
Yeah,
And
I
the
actually
TV show
enjoyed the
was
film
good
as
too.
well.
Good-ish.
I-
It was popcorn munching TV.
Yeah, it's fun. I like the character. I like him. I think he's a cool character. I like that you get the feeling that not only is he like really badass and strong, but he's also kind of a genius, which is cool.
Some
You know?
bit of
Yeah.
eye-wateringly bad special effects firework or pyrotechnics in the last episode. I mean, did
I wouldn't
you
know, I
look
haven't
up from
gotten
your
that far
work?
yet.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
I'll see it.
You don't want to see it. I mean, it's very evidently added in post and not very
Oh, it's not in scene,
seamlessly.
in camera.
Oh no, absolutely not. Rob, what are you watching, reading, or playing, my friend?
Yeah, Rob. What are you watching,
Yeah,
reading,
Rob.
playing?
Well, I just kept going with Brooklyn Nine-Nine this week. So I'm on season 7, which I believe is the last season until they release a new one. I didn't even know they were going to keep making it. Yeah, so I'm still really enjoying it. I think it's a really funny show overall, and it has some nice kind of more serious moments. But the characters is really cool. They all stand out. They're all very interesting. I mean, probably my favorite character is the captain himself.
Captain Holt.
Captain Holt is such a strange guy. It's fantastic.
I was amused. Yeah, right. Can't you tell? Kevin's upset. How do you know? Oh, I know.
Sorry for that brazen expression of passion in public here. Oh, he's really funny.
Love him.
And also, I managed to finish the latest, the newest expansion for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, and the story is absolutely incredible. Like they've somehow tied everything up that they've done since they relaunched the game with the Realm Reborn. They've kind of tied things together. They've ended a lot of things, but they've also left it possible that there's so much more that you can discover after this, that you've actually finished the story that is essentially been 10 years in the making. And yeah, very emotional story and such good use of like music and soundtrack. There's this fantastic zone later in the game, or map later in the game, where you kind of you get into the zone, and the music is very kind of like, it's more like eerie and atmospheric, and it's not much of a tune. There's almost nothing going on in the music there. As you go through the zone, certain events happen, and as you go deeper into the zone, the music kind of takes on it kind of gets more eerie and more creepy, until eventually you get to one place in the zone where it's this complete dead silence. And this is kind of like the climax of this entire the story of that map. And from there, the music kind of it's I can't even describe it. It's just such an incredible experience going through the story, and it's absolutely amazing. I would say if you have the time, definitely play the game. It's just a lot of fun. You get to do a lot of cool stuff, and also they're making it a lot more. Apparently, upcoming, they're making it a lot easier for single player people to play the entire game, which I think is quite amazing. So if you don't like playing with other people, but you want a good story, it'll happen. At least in the next couple of years, they're going to make it possible that you can play the entire game yourself without having to necessarily interact with almost anyone else. Kind of the opposite of playing a multiplayer online game.
You guys are gonna laugh at this, but I actually find that when it comes to MMO games, I can feel a bit socially anxious. It's actually easier for me to deal with a room full of people than it is for me to play with people online.
Yeah, but it's
So
just
that
it's crazy.
suits me just fine, actually. Yeah.
But I mean, they've obviously, there's something they're seeing, that a lot of people are playing it because they just want the story. They don't necessarily are in it to be part of a huge online community, playing with people, trying to overcome things. So they're making it possible that you can play through the entire main story quest from the very first expansion, the base game, all the way to this expansion and beyond, without ever having to really have to play with other people if you really don't want to. And
Which
I
is pretty
think that's
amazing.
great. It's awesome because the story really is good, and it's gripping. It keeps you interested. It's varied. Yeah, I think definitely worth trying out.
Well, I mean, with Realm Reborn, I mean, the immersion is kind of, you well, let's say the immersion gets kicked in the balls when you spawn in a town and it's like, gold for sale, www.easygold.com.
God, yeah.
Gold for sale, gold for sale, gold for sale, gold for sale. And you're like, ah!
And that's all you see in the bloody chat is just some
Nudes.
Like, oh God. It's just like, leave me alone. Let me just enjoy the world. I'm role playing here.
I want to get away from you and your gold mongering ways. Russia?
Oh goodness.
I mean, I assume it's Russia.
I don't know. Someone in the world is trying to sell you something in a nefarious way.
But anyway, yeah, dude, that sounds really great. Thank you for letting me know about that because you're giving me hope now.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Hope for antisocial social gaming.
Yeah, basically.
For me, gaming is a bit of an antisocial thing in a weird way. But, oh, shit, dude. There is something I wanted to mention about gaming. When I was younger, there was this really awesome game called Motorola Mc, which is a Japanese game made by Messiah. And it was only available on the PC Engine, aka the Japanese TurboGrafx, aka the PC Engine Super CD ROM, right? So, it's an amazing little racing game. It's a top-down racer. It controls a lot or plays a lot like Micro Machines, except for the fact that you see the whole course in one screen. My buddy David and myself, and it didn't matter who was there. It was either Jeffrey and Jaden and a whole bunch of just dudes. And then later on, as our friends group evolved, everybody we knew in that time sort of played this game. It was it's five players couch co-op. And what made the game so special is that firstly, you shoot little missiles at the front of your car and you drop little bombs behind them. And the courses are actually, they're really, really tricky, but there's so much chaos and the amount of swearing and madness that goes on because of that game is just, it's insane. And yeah, we used to play the crap out of that. I mean, more than anything, I think we played that, the Olympic Games and Street Fighter to death. And until the PlayStation came out, and actually we still played that game when PlayStation came out. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is on PlayStation, on the PlayStation Store, they are doing a re-release of that game. Not like retooling it or whatever, it's literally just doing a port, an emulated version of it, like on PlayStation 5. And you cannot believe the excitement that I felt when I saw that picture. I was like, firstly, oh my God, like somebody else knows about this game. And secondly, it's just like, yes, I can play that again. So yeah, so if you guys are looking for a cool couch co-op game, that's lots of couch competitive game with up to 5 players. That's really easy to get into and just really quirky and fun and awesome. Motorola MC is coming to the PlayStation Store. Cool. And that's my public service announcement for them. And I'm waiting for my check from Messiah. Wink, wink. Not a sponsored thing, by the way.
I left some rather masterful 4K videos of people playing Streets of Rage 4 on in the lounge, and little Elliot was pretty captivated by Estelle kicking some serious ass. If that doesn't mean anything to you, all you need to take away from that is this video game was the video game to which Elliot was conceived. I seriously considered calling him Axel Blaze. Named after the 2 characters that Kim and I would play as. But yeah, that would be pretty sweet. He definitely loves himself some beat-em-up games. Let's flip the focus to GI Joe. I have been toiling away in whatever time that I can scramble together and been shooting some Renegades. Those of you guys who listen to the podcast and also follow our PlayMotion adventures know that we've kind of had this ongoing storyline. At least I've tried to keep it ongoing. It's had a massive hiatus, but I'm chipping away at the 4th part, and I can happily announce that as of Sunday, the 20th of February 2022, I've completed all the interior shots.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you voice.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Paul. Please. But
Dude,
it's been an exciting
it's been
time
mad.
living in a dungeon and putting together darkened images of toys going to war with one another. It's fun. I mean, it's been literally months of toil, in these kind of vacuum, in these open spaces that I've been able to kind of secure from the family. But it all edits down to like 5 minutes of
Oh,
video.
shame.
But it's pretty pacey stuff, so I'm really happy with the way it cuts together because it moves, baby. Woo. Yeah. Now I just need to get to work on the other 15 minutes of of episode. But yes, it's trucking along nicely, and I'm happy with what I've got so far. So, looking forward to that. Perspective release date, I'm gonna say late March at the earliest. It's coming, and I'll be very
It's
happy
coming.
with this series once it's all done and concluded. I think it's been a step up in terms of GI Joburg play motion, because this is the first time a script has been vetted by a third party. Like, Rob has assisted me with scripting, and certainly Paul, you've thrown a lot of fun dialogue quirks and gags. But as far as like the general plotting of something, I've had no one to really challenge me, and say, okay, you could do it this way, or you could do it a completely different way, and here's why. So basically, like another voice in the room that I can then shut down and say no to.
I was gonna say that's probably why you don't hear that from us that much. With
Yeah,
love. With love.
you're arguing against a brick wall. But no, Zazel from Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse has been instrumental in just like a sounding board for the series, and it has definitely benefited it. You can't do a series about the Sarge and the Renegades without involving the man.
The
And
Zaz.
I'm delighted to announce that this weekend past, I mean, the episode hasn't gone live yet, but this weekend past, he recorded one of his weekly chat shows with Kelly Remus, Sergeant Slaughter's daughter.
Slaughter daughter.
And guess who surprised everyone in attendance on the panel? The Sarge
The
jumped in
Slaughter
front of
son.
the camera. No!
Hey.
Rob Remus, aka Sergeant Slaughter, joined the chat. Maybe it was inevitable, but to say that would diminish how incredibly special it is for someone like Zazel to be chatting live to his living legend idol. Like, that is a spectacular moment. And I'm so happy for him, really. Like, to have a contact with your hero is one thing, but to have him join you and chat to you, like just shoot the shit, honestly, dreams really do come true, boys.
Wow, that's like shame.
Like
I'm
shame?
just thinking
That's
about
so
that
cute,
now.
though.
No,
It's such a South
yeah, he must
African
have
thing to
completely
say.
been like,
Like shame. Like shame. Oh, look,
Ah,
it's so,
shame.
it's so
It's
cute. Man.
wonderful.
oh look, man, he must
so
have felt really
sweet.
on the spot and been like, ooh, the temperature in that room must have gone up quite a bit. His wife must have been like, wow, it's quite humid in here. And there's
Well-
Zaz in the back corner going,
I'm so excited to see the episode and how it turns out. It will probably, I don't know, if judging by the way Zazel's been putting out his interviews, I think it should be available a week from now, or this week
Awesome.
coming. I should mean.
Did anybody win
Yeah.
that competition of Zaz's? Like,
Yes, not you.
no, I know, but I can't seem to find the draw for it.
It
The
happened.
announcement. Yeah, I can't find it.
Well, you've got his contacts. Let him know. And yeah, once again, shout out to Zazel. Thank you for your assistance and lending your voice as Sarge to this epic adventure. Yeah, looking forward to premiering it with you. We've got a topic. I've discovered one. I'm going to reach into the postbox, The Pit, where none other than our buddy Matt from Brisbane has a topic. I'm going to surprise you both with it now.
Whoa.
After listening to the hard sell episode, it got me thinking about the original figure/vehicle run, 82 to 94, and the figures that got chosen for repaints or a whole new look. Things like, why did we not get another Baroness, but a second Backblast? Why did they choose certain characters / vehicles for special teams like Night Force, Tiger Force, Python Patrol, etc.? Was the Battle Core lineup a missed opportunity to bring back some other characters? Or for that matter, vehicles that only received one release? I'm sure there is some financial reasoning, but in the world of imagination, who cares about that? If you could go back and actually have a say in particular sub-teams' makeup, or even look at the Battle Core years and change characters to improve the lineup, or maybe even throw in a few vehicle reissues to make things interesting, what would you do? So basically, guys, I mean, instead of the bazookas, leathernecks, and artbacks that we got in Battle Core, are there any other glaring inclusions that should have been there?
Ooh.
I
I want
think
you guys to speak first.
Well, yes, of course.
Yeah.
I just sit on the mic the whole time while you bloody well think about the subject. But I think it's a crying shame that, and I'm always going to think about vehicles first, but it's a crying shame that stalwarts, like absolutely like blockbuster vehicles, pun not intended, but
Yeah.
blockbuster vehicles like the Mauler and Tomahawk only saw one release in the entire series. Okay, the Night Raven saw a second release. The Sky Striker, if you can call the Night Boomer a second release, the Sky Striker did see reuse. So did the Whale, and the Whale was also offered as a mail away in I think as late as 1993. But the Mauler and Tomahawk, like in spite of the best intentions of bringing them back, never did. So that's a big head scratcher for me. And if you brought them back as late as the Battle Core line, you could have done some fun stuff with it. Like certainly given it different decos, but still retain the classic parts and sculpts and structure. You know, basically the same toy, just newer and without the kind of mileage that 1985 and 1986 toys had received up to that point. Like we'd be sitting with a lot more viable Tomahawks and Maulers out there, and hopefully in a more wide variety of colors. Character wise, I don't know, man. Like it's a shame that V2 Storm Shadow got swept under the rug so quickly. Like we saw a lot of 1984 being repainted, like the old Dalmatian one that came out in, I think it was 97. That was a 1984 re-release. And the Ninja Force Storm Shadow saw a lot of reuse. But 1988 Storm Shadow, just maybe the tools were lost. I know it wound up going to Fun School. It definitely got used in India. Rob, you've got that version, don't you?
Yes.
Darren
Awesome.
Railroad in the chats is trolling me already. Mauler now with Dayglow paint and spring action launchers. Oh man. Well, maybe. I mean, if it's motorized and it has a motorized launching mechanism, it could totally one up the battle wagon. You can always paint over those parts. All I'm saying is like, they're such good vehicles. Why did they only get one release? And the Cobra counter, maybe the Hiss 2 would be a good one to go back to, in more Cobra aesthetic colors. Like make it a black Hiss 2. Make it fit in with the Hiss 1 fleet. And then you've
a
got...
lot of the detail would be lost. But yes, I get your point though. Make it darker.
Yes, a lot of the detail would be lost, Paul. But it would fit in with that classic Cobra armored column. But yeah, the Battle Core wasn't about classic Cobra. They did the Viper up in purple, for heaven's sakes. So, and what was up with the Crimson Guard Commando with all that yellow on him? Yeesh. Look, there was no denying that the Battle Core was like GI Joe waging war on the toy trends of the 90s. Like, we've got to compete with Toxic Crusaders, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, etc. James Bond Jr. But, you know, one can dream, right? So I think that's my very long-winded answer. Have you had enough time to think yet, boys?
Oh no, dude, I totally had my suggestions. I just felt that I've been speaking too much up to this point.
Well, it's a talk show, baby. We're always going to be talking too much. Except for
So,
Rob. Come on, Rob. You talk.
I think
Talk,
what
Rob,
could have
talk.
been really nice is they did like a couple of like at least like a non-ninja update of Scarlet. I think that would have been really cool.
Yep.
Because I think she got her original release and then essentially she became a ninja after that, basically. Like maybe if they could have just turned on the colors in general, I think, going later on into the line. And obviously, I would love to just add Scoop to every single like sub team that exists.
What would you do with a reimagined Scoop, like a Battle Core re-scoop?
It'd be beige.
Second Scoop?
Yeah, he probably would be beige actually. He'd probably be or in gray. With gray with the but then the orange would be like these orange highlights all over him. And his camera would double as like a rocket launcher.
Anytime you think that the Battle Core line existed purely to neon things up, well, take a look at Battle Core Shipwreck, who is head to toe gray wetsuit with silver pops and black accents. Like, it's just
such a sexy toy.
It's so out of place. It's so good. So good.
It is weird. It's kind of like a schizophrenic line because there's so much. Yeah, like as you're pointing him out. I mean, the other figures like Gung Ho as well. I mean, that version of Gung Ho I think is one of the better ones. It's a very schizophrenic line at the time. They were like going between super bright and like trying to be good again, or at least continue like what happened before. So I think Scarlet. I'm not sure like who didn't get onto like smaller teams that they could have been on. They could have expanded on more interesting teams, but they kind of went more into like all the crazy stuff in the 90s rather than giving us another round of the Night Force, the Night Brigade, whatever they call it.
Yeah, Night Force. Yeah. I just feel like had Hasbro's toy division and the sort of comic book division maybe had a much better channel of communication between themselves, we could have actually seen better use of things like the Mega Marines, for example. I know I'm going off topic just a little bit, but and it's going to get to the point I want to make. But I would have loved to have seen the Mega Marines featured in their own sort of mini-series or spin-off from GI Joe. That would have been cool. And also, to turn that around, when I was reading GI Joe comics, when we were able to buy them from CNA and stuff here up in Joburg, notably Four Ways, the big thing at the time was Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, little bits of Billy happening, Baroness, brainwashing, all that bad stuff, and none of those toys were on the pegs except for Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes in different forms. Otherwise, we had no Baroness. We could never bring that adventure home or out of the comic book pages. So I always felt like Baroness was a huge omission. It was a big blank that needed to be filled in the 90s. In fact, I think it's fair to say pretty much all the female characters. Cover Girl would have been amazing, considering that I didn't ever know Cover Girl existed until I read Devil's Due. I didn't know there was such thing as Cover Girl in GI Joe until I read Devil's Due. So like that's a character that I think should have definitely been in the modern line. And maybe she could have been the driver of the new Mauler, for example, as opposed to Wolverine. Those were two. One of the other ones that I would have liked to have seen a lot more of is a more military Flint. We got I know that we got lots of Flint re-releases and whatever, but we got him in Eco Warriors, but I would have liked to have had a more military Flint. We saw him a lot because we had Duke. I just felt like Flint was always sort of missing in a military style. And there was also another character that I used to also sit
Flint
and go,
did get the Battle Core version, which sort of set him in desert fatigues.
Yeah.
But it's a strange looking figure. I'm not going to lie.
It really is. And we didn't have him on our shelves, so I totally felt like that was missing, yeah.
The 1993 and 4 Battle Core stuff didn't get to South Africa. We had the 92 guys like Flak Viper, General Flag, that Duke that rides the dick. Oh dear. The boner cannon. Darren would love to see a Python Patrol Barracuda. Way. I mean, we did get that
Yeah, that makes
submarine.
sense.
It was a Cobra vehicle in the what are you going to call it? The early 2000s GI Joe Real American Hero collection. The what's it called? The Man of War, which some people say is the superior paint job, but I mean, ain't no school like the old school. Like, give me the blue and black or alternating black and blue Barracuda, please. That's my baby. And Gaz has got an interesting question. He wants to know if they ever did an update for Recondo other than the Tiger Force one. And I'm going to say no. Like,
Yeah.
as far as a totally different looking Recondo version, you got to flip all the way to Pursuit of Cobra, where they gave him his Blaine Predator Jesse Ventura looking version, which is constantly staring downwards. Hey, Paul, you got that action figure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It
Modern
comes
era
with
one.
some very cool gear, like a backpack with a is it a grapple that reels
Radar.
in?
Yeah, it's like there's like a communication device on there, and then some kind of grappling trap type of situation going there. Honestly, haven't checked it out in a few months because I haven't been at the house at my folks' place. But yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Pursuit of
lots of
Cobra is kind of the high watermark for modern GI Joe.
agreed.
Yeah, fight me on that point. Try and change my mind.
Yeah.
Whether it's like old school reversions like Lowlight, or completely new versions like your favorite version of Spirit, Rob, with his Lumo snakes. Snake chakus.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's
It's actually a
amazing.
very interesting thing that this question. Sorry, the more that I'm, the more thought that I've had just now that we're talking about it. When I heard this question, I immediately jumped into Mark Bellomo's book and checked out 3D Joes and all those, the usual spots that I like to go and check
Well,
out GI Joe
please
stuff
share
on.
your screen by all means.
Well, I'm not doing it now. I mean, I'm just talking about when we got the topic, when we posted it amongst ourselves. Because we had this sort of in the discussion at some point, and I was kind of thinking about it. I was also thinking about it while I was thinking of another topic as well.
Ooh.
And now that we're talking about it, I actually realized there are so many figures that we, as South African Joe fans, we never got them. We didn't even know they existed. So, on that trail, I would have loved a Jinx. I felt Jinx was missing. Like that. I mean, I know that we got her as like a Tiger Force re-release in '94 or whatever it was.
Oh no,
But
that was that was like 2000s.
oh, really?
In
Okay,
that,
yeah, because that would have
yeah,
been another.
in
Like,
that
where
pack
was
with
Jinx?
wreckage and we talked about it in our Tiger Force
Yeah.
deep dive. But yeah, Jinx kind of fell off the wagon completely, didn't she? But it comes
No,
back to a
totally.
point
And Billy.
raised by
Yeah.
GI Gary. He just said that every girl deserved an update.
Yeah,
Zorana
totally.
was a character in Operation Dragonfire, but she didn't have a current figure when DIC was running the cartoon. Like
Which
she
is
was a
so
character in
stupid.
Joe, but she didn't occupy peg space. But it comes back to that sad statistic about girl figures just not selling. And can you
Yeah.
dispute that? Like, I was hanging out with a friend's kid, and I gave him an action figure to play with, and it happened to be a female figure from Fortnite. And he was like, I don't want to play with a girl one. Sweet,
Yeah.
innocent child, but like he does want to, what's the word? I guess see himself as the protagonist.
Big little
And he
man.
can't, well, he can't, I don't know, see a female as his avatar.
Yeah.
So he wants to have a boy action figure. I'm like, okay, I'll get you a stormtrooper or something. And so I did. And so he was happy. But like, yeah, his first reaction was like, I don't want the girl figure. Like, okay. Damn. She's cool,
Mainframe also
man.
feels.
She's got the best
Yeah.
articulation and she's very durable. Like those Fortnite action figures in the 1 to 118 scale
No, they could take
are
some punishment.
brilliant. They're brilliant. Ratcheting joints. Have you felt them? They got little
Yeah.
clicks to them. I feel like I'm
quite
playing
cool.
with a Revoltech, but without the sort of joints just popping out on you.
One of the kids, because I have to take the little kiddies for Kung Fu on Saturday. And like little kids will bring like Hot Wheels and whatever it is to class, and then their parents will hold on to it or something. And somewhere it came out that I like toys or whatever. So in the Saturday that followed, they all brought me some toys to have a look at. And one of them actually had one of those Fortnite figures. I can't even remember which one it was. It was also some female character, and I was quite impressed with the ratcheting joints. I actually wanted to pop into when I went into Toy Kingdom yesterday for my usual like sort of toy shop recon. I was looking for them, and they're all gone now. And I'm like, if I see one at Checkers, I'll pick one up. But they're quite impressive toys. Sorry, another character that I feel is missing, Mainframe. I know we got Dial Tone, but it would have been cool to have seen Mainframe come back in some way, shape, or form. In a
Laser
battle
tag, dial tone. Hey, he's awesome.
And also with Mega Marines, I know I'm on a whole Mega Marines kick at the moment. Sorry, but like with the Mega Marines leaning so heavily into the X-Men, into Alien, into the Marines from Aliens, should I say? Why didn't we get Lady J in that force? How cool would it be if we had a Lady J that was somewhat reminiscent of Ripley from Aliens?
Ooh, I was going to go
the rest of
Vasquez.
No, but that's the thing. Maybe we could have also had maybe a new female character that was like Vasky, you know? That would have been cool too. Then we have 2 new female characters on that team or whatever. Yeah, fine. I get it that as kids we might not have bought them, but if they had really amazing weapons, we might have just bought them for the weapons then, and then once we grew up, realized that we were lucky that we bought the new toys. Or
Hey
probably customized them out of
Vasquez,
existence.
you ever been mistaken for a man? No, have you?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it could have been a very androgynous figure. Like you'd have to read the file card very closely to discover that this is actually a female. So maybe, you know, imagine fooling the boy market that way. It's just like it's a cool figure with badass weapons. You know, not really noticeable breasts because she's under all that armor. So like, hey, would that have been a bit sneaky of Hasbro to design a figure like that?
I don't know. I think it would have been. I think it would have
Progressive.
played it safe. It would be seen as progressive now, but then it would be playing it safe. Also, guys, for somebody who only ever had a glancing experience with a rock and roll version 2 when I was younger, that was a toy I also grew up going, oh, I wish I could have had it. And then David had one. And it's amazing. As we all know, V2 rock and roll, or technically it's V3 rock and roll. It's so cool with his like shotgun that plugs on his arm and his like super big machine guns, etc.
His leg.
But his leg. Yeah, no, sorry. Did I say shotgun on
As
his
we
arm?
all know.
Sorry, I was thinking of like putting it in his hands and breaking his thumbs. Anyway,
I
sorry.
put my boomstick on my arm, man.
Dude, like, hey, why not? Like ash it, right?
Very
But-
Evil Dead. Mm-hmm.
But I was always like super disappointed with the orange and green repaint version of him with the Sonic Fighters. And also, I'm in a funny space there as well, because I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, yes, we got this great sculpt that was pretty much intact. So if you somehow had all of the accessories from the earlier one, they kind of still worked. But on the other hand, I sort of lament the fact that we could have also had a much cooler new rock and roll figure as well. Like, I feel like that's something that was missing too.
I think the repaints with the Supersonic Fighters allowed us to have new figures in that subset. Like, yeah, sure, we got Rock and Roll and Road Pig, but then we got Zap, Psych Out, and Major Blood. Like, basically,
That's
like
cool, and so is that Major Blood.
that's where the tooling budget went to,
Yeah.
so that the
All
whole
those grenades.
oh,
That's bombs.
all that plastic. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, Rob, do you remember how farcical it was? Like how the debates and the arguments would go round and round in circles about, no, I shot you. Oh, I've got body armor. No, I shot you in the grenade. Oh, jeez. And that guy was just one walking target. Like, can you shoot a grenade and make it blow up?
No,
You can't.
No,
Okay,
you
they're
can look
inert
that up, you
until
can't.
you... Right.
no, you
Still,
can't.
it
Like,
would,
it's
wouldn't
designed
be
that way.
pleasant.
Yeah, it needs to be detonated. Listen, I'm not saying it will never happen. It can happen. It's just, it is part of its design to be resistant to that. You know, what it's not resistant to is heat. If there's lots of heat, if hand grenades are cooked in like a hot, like if there's an open flame and they're cooked, yeah, it's gonna get super fun. Because then the pin that separates the detonator from the switch, or whatever it is, I can't think of the technical term now, but when that melts, or gets to a certain heat, obviously it becomes malleable, and then the pins touch, and the detonation cycle is completed, and then boom. So
Do not
that's
dispose
the
of
thing.
hand grenades in fire. But Gaz hits
Don't
back with
do
another
it.
great suggestion. Scrap Iron was a character that could have been brought into the 90s. And to that, I guess Metalhead made him redundant.
Bang
In a
bang.
way,
So
yeah.
he
We
did
got
come
a,
back, but not
a
for
battle
us.
core. We got a battle core Metalhead, but yeah, Scrap Iron would have been that kind of figure, the rocket launching weapons dude for Cobra.
I
Yeah.
think someone they also missed was Chuckles. He didn't get another release, I think, until modern era, didn't he?
Yeah, that man disappeared completely. Like a lot of the 1987 guys, and 1988 guys, just fell into a black hole, never to be seen again.
Because you could do a completely different thing with Chuckles when you explore his undercoverness in a different way.
Oh,
Or
shit,
he'd be super easy to
Chuckles!
put onto a sub team. I mean, Tiger Force Chuckles, you just change his entire shirt into like a cool tiger motif.
I
Would
want a
easily fit on
redesign
there.
though. I don't want to see the shirt and cargo pants again. Like, give us a battle core version of Chuckles that does something different with the character, and it makes him less plain. Like Chuckles was that figure that was really an acquired taste. A lot of people got him just for the holster and gun, right? But it took a certain kind of child to really, really get their teeth into crime and investigation and deep cover work and like use this weird Hawaiian shirt wearing action figure to its fullest potential. So if Battle Core was to do a Chuckles, I would want Chuckles in something else. Like maybe do a absolute legit jungle Chuckles. Like when he's totally tactical. He's not
Yeah.
undercover. This is when Chuckles is like having to like actually wade in with the troops.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like in Predator when the guy comes from the CIA.
Dylan, you
Dylan
son of a
comes-
bitch!
and he has to cut. He's obviously a shirt. He's a desk guy now. He used to not be a desk guy, but now he has to kind of go back into it.
He's pushing a lot of meat into that shirt. I mean, like
I was
Carl
gonna say,
Weathers,
with those
pythons
arms, yeah.
poking out of that little shirt, and that hilarious comical tie that he's wearing. Like that scene is it's that whole movie. There are just laugh out loud moments for all the wrong reasons, and it's so delicious. Oh, Predator, the
Let's
gift
just
that
picture
keeps on
that for
giving.
2 seconds, though. Let's just picture
What?
that quickly, like
These two hulking men, like
no,
doing
just
it.
Dylan working in an
hands.
office, like flying a desk. Like, can you imagine somebody going, "Dylan, where are my TPS reports? They're coming, sir."
It's always like the AC is always off, and that's how he explains why he's always oiled up because he's like always sweating. Those biceps are always like covered in this layer of oil. Oh man.
This is just a reminder. I hope everybody got the email that we're doing mandatory drug screening next week. It will be random. So, Carl, please make sure you drink less shakes, if you know what I
Action
mean.
Jackson.
Okay, and make sure I get my TPS reports there. Okay, sir. Yeah.
Where are you going with this joke, Paul?
Dude, I can just imagine Carl Weathers as Dylan at his little desk in the CIA. And he has to fill in, he's like, can you imagine that beast of a human being trying to use fucking Excel? He's like sitting there go, create a new column. Oh, fuck.
All I can imagine is his Apollo Creed appearance in, was it Rocky 3 or 4? Man, living in America. He'd bust out that Uncle Sam hat and man, give us a
Yeah,
song
can you
and dance
imagine?
number.
Yeah, a man that big just can't sit behind the desk. It's wrong. And I'm not just talking about his like stature. I'm talking about his presence. It's the same thing with Arnie. Like, anyway, I'm just imagining that, like, if you took all of these, like, what I think would actually be a way more interesting film than like Expendables 50 would be to take all of those guys and put them in a setting where they have to actually be super boring, like in an office or something. So they all have to work in an office. And then it's like, Dylan, where are my TPS reports? Come on! Get to the printer! Now! And then Dylan's like, you son of a bitch! I mean, stupid. And you could have like Chuck Norris and he kick water kick. Yeah, it could be stupid, but like it could be fun. It could be if it was written really well. Anyway, let's get your head out of let's get everybody out of Paul's like weird comedy headcanon.
Well,
And back
I'm going to
into
thank Matt once again for the awesome topic, and I'm delighted with the very impromptu setting under which I unveiled it to you guys, because, yeah, I think there've been some solid ideas. If you have some great ideas, please, by all means, drop down in the comment section on the YouTube video and comment. We might feature your comment in an episode. To
We
wit,
will.
I think it's time for the whole scoop with Rob. Each week, Rob is going to highlight his favorite YouTube comment from the last week's podcast and present it to us for our consideration on the show. Rob, do you have your favorite comment?
Yes, I
Ready
do. I
for
think
it?
it speaks to what we were talking about last episode, 237 hard sell. It speaks to something we said in the episode where I think, like we were kind of like dandying about, do you always fly or freak fag? I think it was. Get to the copier.
I ain't got no time to. I ain't got no time to file. Very cool.
Thanks, Railroad.
And this comment comes from Troy Smith, and I think it's something that it's actually quite nice to remember. So he says, my policy is to tell as many people I know how much I love GI Joe for 2 reasons, and these are his reasons. 1, if they remember I love GI Joe, it means that they really took interest in me. And 2, there could be a super small chance that someone will say, I have a bunch of those in my attic. Do you want them? That has happened to me at least 3 times where someone gave me their old toys.
Super cool angle. Nice.
So those are really good reasons to actually always just be honest, guys. Tell people you love GI Joe, and you never know what's going to happen. You could get toys. I think that's a good thing to
You
remember.
could get toys, full stop. Okay, well, turning it on the focus back onto us then, has anyone had an experience like that? Like, you mentioned that you're into this toy line, and someone say, I think I've got some of those lying around. I'll have a look. And the next time you see them, they've got a shoebox for you. Rob?
That hasn't
Ah,
happened to me
no.
yet. Although the coolest thing happened was I was at work, and I was wearing my my one of a kind exquisite Cujo renditions of Bat. The one of a kind shirt that no one else in the entire world owns because it's so soft.
Oh, the
and
one on the gray
absolutely
shirt.
Yes. And the guy was like, "That's so cool! Hey, isn't that a bat?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a bat. That's so cool. You know GI Joe." He's like, "Yeah, I love GI Joe. I grew up sort of favorite characters. You like Flint and he liked Duke." And I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome. Cool, man." But yeah, he didn't mention having Joes that he wanted to give me, unfortunately.
bummer.
But it was cool that he recognized the bat, and I thought that was cool.
A Gunplay SA, should I say, one of the supporters of Gunplay SA was watching one of the podcasts we do for that, where we just do like a roundup of what's happening in the community. Sort of spotted my Sky Striker in the background.
Yeah.
He's eagle-eyed because it's like you can literally see a little bit of the cockpit in the background. And he's like, I really want that. Would you want to like swap it for a Hasbro TIE Fighter? Or Kenner TIE Fighter, actually. And I was like, no, dude, because I'd be ripping you off giving you that Sky Striker. I'd be the one scoring from that deal. So just like, no. I mean, what often happens to me when people find out that I do toys is they'll go, oh, I wonder what I've got. Or they'll go, can I give you a shout if I, to see how much these things are worth?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hate that. Sorry, I do hate that. I know people just want help and they're like trying to get involved and whatever's, but they just look at it as like, oh, cool, I might just be like a billionaire, and I'm like, no, dude,
make
you'll
some
make
money
like
off this
1,000
now.
rand tops out of the shit that you got in your cupboard, because you're
Yeah.
probably missing accessories, legs, arms, heads, whatever.
It's the same with comic books as well. I mean, people think they're sitting on a gold mine, but it's not.
No, it's not. But anyway, any other cool comments, dude, that you spotted?
I think that was my favorite one.
That was your favorite
I
one.
quite like that one.
I've had at least 2 childhood toy donations, and I think I've
Say
mentioned them
what?
both on the show. But I inherited GI Joes and a lot of core from my buddy Ryan, who I was working on a production of Jersey Boys with at the time. We were in Johannesburg, and I had just gotten him the what's it called? Not Sideshow, Marvel, but like not Marvel Legends.
Oh,
Come in boxes.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. They're slightly
Yeah,
bigger. They're sort of 8-inch tall. Anyway, I got him a
Captain America?
Deadpool.
No?
Deadpool. It was from
Deadpool.
your shop in Tiger Valley, Rob. Do you remember? I picked
Yes.
you up at closing time and smuggled one
Oh,
out. Yeah.
the
Anyways,
Diamond Marvel Legends stuff. Yes.
what
Yeah.
are they
Yes,
called?
yes.
I'm blanking on the name.
No, they were
They're
Marvel Legends.
yeah, they're Marvel Legend. Yeah,
Marvel Select.
Marvel
Select.
Select.
There we
Marvel
go.
Select.
God,
Okay.
we all
So,
failed.
no, what are you talking about? I didn't fail. I got it in the end. But yes. I got him the Deadpool, and it wasn't really an exchange. He paid me for it, so like it was not like I was giving him a toy for toys. But he's like, "Jubs, you love GI Joe, right? I've got so many, and I'm gonna give them away anyway. And would you like them?" Turns out he had like a massive collection of the Star Force, Star Troopers. I don't know what you call them. Those cool guys. He had the shuttle. He had the APC.
Oh,
He had
sweet.
the core Hummer, the ATK vehicle, which I
I
gifted
think I
onto
was the
you, Paul.
recipient. Yeah,
You
yeah.
absolutely were, because I already had one, but only too happy to share the magic, because that is a magical
Oh,
vehicle.
so cool.
Yeah. And a few Joes as well. Like I mean, I already had Rob's Barricade in my collection. I didn't need that, so I gave that to you, Paul, and a few other bits and bobs here and there. Maybe a Wild Bill Battlecore version. But so nice, so many figures, and in reasonably good condition, and with all their bits. So I was only too happy to be a recipient of that stuff. So magical to get someone's childhood collection. You're like, oh, what stories did these guys tell? And I did kind of pump him for as much information as possible. Like, dude, tell me about how you used to play with these guys. He was like, well, obviously my mains were the GI Joes, and the core were the cannon fodder, and the other
Of course.
guys. Yeah, of course. And he used to play all the kind of Star Force or Star Troop. What are they called? Star Force.
Star
Whatever.
Force or something. Did you have the
The
white
core
ones or
guys.
the disco
Yeah.
color ones?
No, the white ones.
Oh.
The disco color ones were Laser Force. The chrome
Yes,
guys?
because I had one of those.
Yeah. No, I
They
had
were
one of those
fun.
too. I had a hot pink chrome guy.
Oh, I would love that
Mm.
now. I got a boring metallic green one.
And the metallic green one had the shield, whereas the hot pink
Yes.
guy had like a cutting torch. Yeah, it was the weapons that sold that guy to me. He had a cutting torch and a hoverboard, because all of them had remixes of the same, like maybe 3 or 4 different weapon and equipment types. So there was a shield, there was like mine looked like he had a laser gun and a flight implement. So that was obviously going to be my guy.
Good old
Um,
Checkers.
I got mine at Pick and Pay Hypermarket in Ottery. But anyways, that's besides the point. Yes, so a lot of the Star Force guys that were totally decked out in white and didn't have removable helmets. So yeah, they were actually played as his sort of androids or like enemy robots. Very cool. And then yeah, a few Joes. The second time I was gifted someone's childhood collection was once again at work, production of Othello, and I was collecting a few vintage collection Star Wars figures at the time, so I connected with this other cast member on that, and he was like, "Well, I've got vintage Action Force. Would you be interested in that?" I was like, "The 5-point of articulation retro guys from Palitoy? Absolutely." And he brought them in a Tupperware and immaculately preserved all the bits and pieces, some of the most finely molded weapons at that scale. Like the Colt 1911 that came with the action, I think it was the SAS chopper pilot. So gorgeous. That is a great pistol. And he had everything in this little lunchbox. Yeah, good old Nick. Good man. You know Nick, Rob.
Yes, I do. Drives the what do you call his car? It's the C3PO.
C3PO. Yeah, this
Yeah.
gold little hatchback. Yeah. He used to have a Harley. Now he has a C3PO. Good old Nick Dallas, Dick Malice. But with that, gents, I think this is going to be a bit of a truncated episode. We've done all we came here to do. We have a more formal, structured episode lined up for next week, I guess. But it's been fun hanging out with the two of you.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Sending our regards to Cujo, who's probably fast asleep. Good boy.
Well,
sorry
I'm
that I joined
definitely
you
looking
guys so
forward to
late.
next week. Hey, it happens. It happens, you know.
Hey, I got to tell
It
you though, the
happens.
place I went to was really cool, and it brought back a few memories of Tennessee. Because this place I went to, it's called Tea and Chickadee. But the whole like little restaurant is all based on Southern style cooking, and
Ah.
it's got everything. It's got like key lime pies are not really Southern; they're from Florida. But I mean, they've got everything else. They've got tons of different like types of pie. They've got like moon pie and chess pie and pumpkin pie, and it just goes on. The list goes on. And then they have, Southern style pulled pork on biscuit, and then they have different style of biscuits that you can have. So like, cinnamon biscuit or buttermilk biscuit. Anyway, it's really cool, and it just reminded me of that little place that we popped into, in Tennessee, in Chattanooga, that we
Yes,
kept walking
that's the
past, and
first
eventually,
meal. No,
yeah.
which was it the first meal that we had, or was it the place that me and you went to?
No, it was the first meal that we had. It was,
Yes.
because we went there, we were like, let's get something that's like not fast food. Let's get something that's like actually like American, you know?
Well, we kept
Because-
walking past. It was a smokehouse, and like, I was
Yes.
like, oh, we gotta get
Oh.
some pulled pork, man.
And it was so good. It was so
Yeah.
so good. And I got to say, this place was pretty much on a similar level. It had that same feel. Not as it. I say this with respect to the place that we went to, in this, in America. There was an authenticity to that place, and that it wasn't all bells and whistles. It was like there's places to sit. The restaurant was clean and it had good food. This place here in South Africa, obviously, when you're in South Africa, you want to try and sell it a bit more. So they had definitely zooshed it up a bit more. It was, it had good, like it was refined and everything inside with the sort of decor and whatever's. So that was like the only thing that sort of like threw me a bit, because I even said to the lady who owns it, and she's a South African that actually stayed in America for a good portion of her life. And I just said, like, the last time I went into a place like this, when we were in Chattanooga, it was like this. And she's like, yeah. She's like, I would love to do that here, but, we can't. So
Nah.
I'm like, yeah, I get it. But,
Gotta make it look like
and
something. You gotta put on
and
a
I
show.
joked with her, and I was like, where's my pack of Lay's with my pulled pork? And she laughed. So, because she totally got it. So that was cool.
Railroad's got my back in the chats. He asks if the figure was Sparrowhawk. I don't think it was Sparrowhawk. Sparrowhawk was a like paratrooper. He came with a parachute pack and very elaborate, kind of almost a deluxe figure. Whereas this guy just came with a yellow life preserver and a rubber band, like a bog standard elastic band. Which, to Nick's credit, the band was still like stuck to the vest. It was,
Whoa.
of course, completely perished. It was rock
Yeah.
hard and it just crumbled to dust. But like, this thing had been sitting in a cupboard or a shoebox or under his bed since he last set down his playthings, like, I don't
The
know,
last time.
decades ago. Yeah. So, like, as I say, everything immaculately preserved, even the damn rubber band, as preserved as rubber could possibly be when it's 35 years old.
Oh, guys,
Unbelievable.
and there's a figure that should have been released in the 90s. I can't believe we forgot about this.
Ooh,
Lifeline.
the list just goes on. I was
A
just looking
Battle
at the
Core
bloody
Lifeline would have been
renegades.
so interesting.
Like,
you know?
why did Taurus and Red Dog like never see reuse? They were just
they're
hit
killed.
with that sad 1980. Maybe they're killed. Yeah, exactly. That's their function, to just wind up in an unmarked grave and be forgotten. Poor renegades.
Man, I hope we
We
get to
didn't
revisit
forget,
this
though.
this topic again sometime, because it would be cool to like make some lore based on that. Like
Like, why
Anyway.
didn't certain characters not appear again?
yeah,
da,
exactly.
da.
Try to answer those questions, but not like from a toy side of view, like from a story side of things.
And in
Oh.
the case of the renegades, like Battlecore would have offered them an opportunity to have different look, different feel, different aesthetic. That was kind of the function of Battlecore, to update people's classic looks.
Yeah.
Because in the case of the renegades, we're stuck in first gear, they will always be portrayed only one way, except for Mercer. He managed to get a second version, but there's only one canonic Red Dog in Taurus. Like, you have to get creative with your own kind of fan custom ventures if you want to present them in a different way. Like, I'd love to see Taurus in his circus strongman getup. Maybe give him a whole bunch of extra piercings and weird, crazy, like, body paint and stuff. I don't know. Go to town with the guy.
Well,
And
who knows, Stephen? With Hiya Toys producing figures that we have not seen since the 1980s, it is possible that you're going to get one of him very soon.
Oh,
An
I need
exquisite
to read that
minifigure.
press release one more time. GI Joe action figure of exquisite miniseries, focusing on create high performance 1/18 scale action figure, will be released in 2022. One can only wonder. Wow, what a time, guys! We are swamped with product. Whether you
Yeah.
want to go classified, or go Ultimates Super 7, or go Reaction,
Mezco.
or go Hiya Toys, or Mezco, or I don't know.
Get yourself
world's
some beefy
smallest.
figures for your kids. If you want to get some, classified bargain bin figures for your kids, you can do it.
All those, what are they called? The GI Joe Titan figures or something? Those stupid chunky things that can't bend their legs or can barely bend their legs. There's like a Cobra Commander with a very long yellow apparatus. And then there's a Roadblock with a very cool gun, with the gun he should have come with and classified. At least in my opinion.
Hey man, if I see
yeah.
him, I'm gonna get him for Elliot, and
Hey.
that will be the true test, my friends. Does he regard these toys, or does he just dump them and crawl off? Like,
Dude, maybe he'll dump them
forget
because
that.
they got such crap articulation. Maybe So don't sell him short yet. If he does dump them, see it as hope. Like, my son likes articulation. I must get him a better toy.
every time I leave my study door open, he makes a beeline, man, and he's got his eye on the Mudbuster.
Hey.
Oof.
Loves a truck. Yeah. Anyways, with that, I think we're spinning our wheels and we're spinning out. Our Mudbuster is going off-road, baby. This has been episode 238 of GI Joburg, an episode. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you know the drill. arealsouthafricanhero@gmail.com is probably the easiest way if you want to write us a very long love letter or record a voice note and drop it as an MP3 clip. That'd be cool. We love getting those. We love to play them on the show. Alternatively, our socials, Twitter, Insta. Oh, Twitter, we passed 3K followers, if anyone cares about numbers. I know Cujo was very pleased with that. He's been cultivating that number for some time. The YouTube subs are up to almost 10,000, but I don't sweat that. Whatever.
It ain't about the numbers. It's about the friends you made along the way.
It's the quality
It's
of
about
our numbers,
you.
man. We got cool people.
Yeah, the people who join us on these little escapades week to week. The folks doing their commute with GI Joburg in their earbuds. This is for you guys. Thank you for joining us on this absurd adventure into adult
baby,
collecting
Berg.
of the best toys in the world.
Berg, baby, Berg.
Anything you'd like to punt there, Paulo?
No, I just want to remind guys that you can join the Patreon if you want to. It's a super fun way of being close to us. You get to join us in as part of our live studio audience. And you get to be the recipient of some cool little things which will start rolling out again. Stuff like soundtracks from our play motions. We got wallpapers. We got all that kind of fun stuff. You just have to dig in. But so that's one way. You can also check out our merch if you're into that kind of thing. But mostly, when you comment and you hit us up on Facebook or whatever, that kind of stuff is felt and really appreciated, and we love you for it. And thank you. So that's pretty much all I needed to add. And I'm still a little bit down about Ivan Reitman. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry. Just
Rest in peace, man. Yo, Joburg, everybody.
And things.
And have a great week. And be kind to one another. Hooded Cobra Commander's GoFundMe is trucking along, but if you happen to have some spare shekels, he's a few short. He'd really like to make it to GI Joe Fest 2022, and I would really love him to be there. So let's make it happen, community.
Make it a thing.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
Nice.
All right.
Cool.
Later.
Later.
Cheers, bird.